Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Marvel Future Revolution. Today I want to get into a video to address something that one of the commenters on another video brought up, and that was basically Kraken Null's State of the Game Let's Talk that he posted on Reddit, the Marvel Future Revolution Reddit. I want to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what he's talking, so I'm not going to go line by line for what he discussed inside there, but I want to point out some main things, right? There's going to basically be two camps of this game. There's going to be the free-to-play, and there's going to be the whales. There's going to be the whales who have a very different experience than what the free-to-play players are experiencing. But there's going to be the free-to-play players who are literally going to probably be on one end of the game looking at, why can't I catch up with these guys? And is this game play-to-play? And if I can't catch up with these guys, what's the point of me playing? And I feel like the gap between the free-to-play community and the pay-to-play community inside here is going to be tenfold the way the game is currently in concept at launch. Let me explain that and try to do it as best I can possibly. You have to have both free-to-play and pay-to-play in order for a game to exist. Developers are not going to continue to generate content for a game that they are not making money from, nor should they. But free-to-play players have to exist in order for pay-to-play players to have someone to play with. I have to have a doll to beat up on in order for me to feel good about what I'm investing my time in. Now, so when I look at a mobile game, right, you have to understand aspects of what a mobile game is versus what a desktop game is and what a console game is, right? So I've seen, for instance, people complaining about certain things that happen in the game. So modes being auto-played or being auto-playable after they reach certain levels of heights of power and stuff like that. And you have to take into consideration what they are saying in the perspective. So the perspective of a Kraken Null player who has all 8 of his heroes at level 100, I think he's probably over 150 squad level as well at this point, meaning that he admits that he's a whale, he admits that he's a Kraken, you know, and he's going free to play now, so he's transparent with that. So no, keep in mind, I'm not saying any of this to shun any players, right? I consider myself a dolphin, although by most money standards, most people will say I'm a whale, right? There's going to be two different perspectives on this, and I think that people are going to miss their perspective and how it looks from the outside sitting in. So for instance, Kraken Null is going to look at the game from a different lens than, you know, the free-to-play player is versus the middle of the tier whale is. Kraken Null has basically paid for his characters to be at level 100, power level 1 million, you know, squad level 200, 150 or above or something like that. And that is going to shape his experience with inside the game, meaning that, you know, when he looks at Blitz and he looks at Omega War and he looks at a lot of these game modes, he's going to see inside those modes, yeah, man, I'm playing through Blitz and this shit's just not fun. It's not fun because all I'm doing is jumping in and I'm auto playing this mode and it's just not fun. And he's going to complain about that. But why is he complaining about that? He's complaining about something that's literally a cause and effect of where he stood in perspective to the game. He rushed to get to the very end of what the game was supposed to be. You were supposed to have a journey with your characters to get them from level 0 to level 100, for your squad to be built up from level 0 to 100, and clearly Netmarble decided that they didn't want you to basically be able to grind out characters very quickly, which is why the only way for you to gain XP for your characters was through story mode. That was it, legitimately. You only had that method in order to do it, right? So it was clearly meant for there to be a journey, but instead players have found ways that you already saw that players were like, hey, delete your character so that way, you know, you can delete your character and it'll accelerate them quicker. So obviously, right, if I jump in now and I have to go play Blitz, if I have to go play Dimension Duels, and I'm this far ahead of the rest of the pack that they can't compete now, guess what? I'm fucked. Because now everything to me is boring, because now it just feels like I'm clicking on stuff and just letting it happen. It's not fun for me anymore. That's not gonna feel fun. It's not. Whereas a free-to-play player is going to be seeing someone like Kraken Null in their game experience and be like, this shit's not fun because I can't compete with this guy. because it's taken me so long to catch up to him. If I jumped in right now as a free-to-play player and I played from 0 to 100 through the story mode, it'll probably take you maybe about 2 to 3 days to level up a character with some serious dedicated play, right? You can accelerate those means in some ways. But if I do that, right, I'm probably, as a free-to-play player, going to end up somewhere in about the 300,000 power range, right? So if I'm at 300,000 power and I decide that I want to jump in on some of the in-game modes, right? Like the in-game modes of this game specifically would be like the Battle Challenge, the Omega War, the Dimension Duel, the Dark Zone, and the Raids, right? Meaning that if I decide that I want to jump in those, guess what? If I jumped in Omega War, I have every capability of being inside that game mode with a player like Kraken Null, or being at the end with somebody that's free to play. There's no matchmaking there. There's absolutely none. So now you're going to have players that feel like they're getting shafted because they jump in as a free to play. They're at level 100. So now they feel like they should at least be in the realm of competing, but they're not. Because Kraken Null is at 1,000,000 power. You're at 300,000 power, even though your character says level 100. So you're amped now that your character has reached level 100. But you can in no way compete with Kraken Null, who has 6 cards to complete a set, who has, you know, 5-star cores on his 6-star battle badges. You can't compete because the stat limit is so far gone. So now you're inside Omega War, you're inside Dimension Duel, and you're inside Dark Zone. And you can't compete with those people at all. The Whale Pod is running around. Casino Dojo is running around. X-Force is running around. And you can't compete with those guys. Because once they come in with the horde that they are, you're going to get wiped out. Because there's no matchmaking in this game. That's going to be the biggest hindrance in this game right now. Is that it's an inability for players to feel super because the train has left the station. It's too far behind them, and they're gonna feel like I have to try to catch up now, and if I can't catch up now, I just might as well say fuck it and leave. I feel like the game needs to have some kind of matchmaking, so that way when I join in Omega War, I'm with characters within a grouping of me, you know, 300 to 600,000 power level, or, you know, the guys at 1,000,000 have a different pool. It took them forever to figure this out inside Marvel Future Fight. Hopefully they figured it out here. The same thing is going to happen inside Dimension Duels. You know, I could be inside Dimension Duels and I could be playing with a Thibodeau who's at 138 rank. And I could be literally at 100 rank, and me and him can be in the same tier, and I'm battling to get up inside the weekly ranks with that guy. It doesn't particularly make sense. You know, like that pool has to exist. They're matchmaking. So you have to look at it in those respects, right? The other thing that I think is besides the matchmaking that is going to piss people off about the game is legitimately the game doesn't have great drop rates. It doesn't have great drop rates inside catching stuff, gear from just normal play in the world, and it doesn't have great drop rates or draw rates from, you know, the cash shop either. The cash shop draws are ridiculously low. I feel like they missed out on something with the gear. The gear crafting system is atrocious. I'm going to tell you right now. I've never liked gear crafting. I've been playing Black Desert since Alpha, and I hate crafting inside there. I've always just grinded to purchase my gear and my items inside that game. I hate crafting systems. Not something fun. They're just not to me. I'm not a life skiller, and I hate doing those things. But you're literally inside this game where the focus probably should have been on loot acquisition. And what I mean loot acquisition is like everybody should be able to collect the Midgardia sets. Everybody should be able to collect the new Stark City sets. Everybody should be able to collect Xanderth. But what I want is to have a specific drop, a stat on my card or my gear piece, and make that the unique experience for players. That, you know, my character got dodge rate, your character got hit rate. My character got attack, your character got HP. My character got these 2 stats, your character got these 3 stats. Make that the experience. Take after Destiny, take after Borderlands, games like that, where the looting is the aspect of the game that keeps me grinding. That the looting of the randomization is what makes me go, hey, you know what? I just got another Xanderth duplicate set, but guess what? This one has HP and attack on it. But that one over there, that one has defense and HP on it. And I'm not mad now that I got 2 of the same set. Whereas opposed to inside the system right now, when I look at my gear, I'm pissed if I get another, you know, Hydra Empire cloak, because I spent all the time working on this Hydra Empire cloak, and while these bonus options might be somewhat randomized inside there, I don't want another one because it's taken me so long to just get these sets. Like, I'm one of the lucky players. I got three pieces of the Hydra Empire set, so I'm one of the lucky players. I haven't gotten a third, and I can tell you right now, I've rolled so many boxes for regional gear and gotten nothing from them because the draw rates are so atrociously low. They're so bad. You can look at certain players and you can see that their battle badges are fully flexed out with 6-star battle badges and they're red. Meanwhile, I still have some that are 5-star and gold because the drop rates are just bad, right? Whereas opposed to focus for me and my mind should have been that we worked on, what did I get for that drop? How does it change up my character? Maybe I decide that, you know what, hey, I got 4 battle badges that gives me defense and HP. So now instead of playing, you know, Doctor Strange, who might rely more on attack and ultimate skill gauge buildup, that I instead focus on a character like Captain America, who focuses on defense and HP recovery stats, because now it's going to make me want to play Captain America instead, because I've got, you know, battle badges that kind of match up him more. You know, that's the way that we should have been looking at it, but that doesn't seem the way Netmarble is looking at it, which is kind of, I don't know, it's really weird. So before I get into some more negative stuff, let's talk about some of the positive things of the game, because I don't want it all to be negative and scare you away from playing. Is the game worth playing? Yes, it is, but you have to understand what you're engaging in. This is a longevity game that's built up for you to play over time. It's not meant for you to race to the finish, build up one toon, and then go on to the next toon in a matter of days. There's no way for Netmarble to make money if that's the case, where you can just legitimately build up toons in one day as a free-to-play player and then move on to the next character the next day. There's no money for them that way. Just none. They've learned that lesson from Marvel Future Fight. We can build characters inside Marvel Future Fight in a day. You can level up characters max in a day, and then they just... what do you do with the character after that? It just becomes another toon in your chest, right? So the game is obviously meant for longevity, but the way that you try to appreciate the gap is going to be different. You know, the story mode is good. It's fine for a comic book story. You feel the characters are heroic. The character models look great, but I really don't want to play the story mode after the first playthrough anymore. I've seen the story. It's the same story for every character. There might be a different initial opening chapter and a different closing chapter for the characters, but the story is the same. It's not a differential in terms of story, which is probably a place where a game like Marvel Avengers, you know, it might find success if they can get more content rolling out, because every new character that they introduce is a new story. It's a new part of shaping the world for you. Kate Bishop's story is different from Hawkeye's story. Thor's story is different from Captain America's story. Captain America's story is different from, you know, the Green Giant Hulk. So in that way, the game, you know, but again, that game has faltered because of its ability to get out content and develop content for the game and meet the needs of the players to be able to engage these characters in different stories, different modes, and things like that outside of just their initial entry into the game. So when you look at some of the things, what are some of the positive aspects of the game? Outside of the characters looking good, feeling good, and the story being good, I would say overall most of the content modes in the game are enjoyable. If I go inside of Blitz, I find the mode enjoyable to play. Obviously, at this point where I am, the only Blitz mode that is competitive for me at 500,000 power rating right now is going to be Hulk. I can literally auto play Laufey. Everything from Laufey and below I can auto play. Hulk, Maestro Hulk, I can't, so I have to actually engage on it. That sucks in a sense, because you do want them to figure out a way to make these content modes more engaging, but I'm not surprised, because I've played Marvel Future Fight, I've seen co-op play, and I've seen Shadowlands inside those games, and guess what? I can pretty much auto play through those. when you look at the game, there's going to be some things inside here that you're obviously enjoy. Omega War is very enjoyable to me when I play this mode and I've got people who are paired up and are of a same power level as me. It's highly unfun when I end up with Casino Dojo on one side and a bunch of us randos on the other side, because guess what? I know I'm about to get spanked and trash. It's terrible when I run into Whale Pod inside the Dark Zone and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know what? They're just going to spank me, and their troop to get the, you know, to get the cards and to get the rewards and to beat the guys, they're just going to tank over me. It's 50 of them coming in and it's just me. And what am I going to do inside here? It sucks, because that's literally what's happening inside those modes, right? Whereas opposed to when, you know, I got to decide now whether or not this guy is going to be on my side to fight this boss, or whether we're going to have to fight over this boss, then it's more engaging, way more engaging in content. So you have to consider those things inside of them. The game modes in themselves are fun. The execution of the game modes aren't. A matchmaking system could fix all of these things inside the game, where we get paired up based on power scaling instead of just getting thrown in with, you know, level 1 million players and level, you know, 100,000 players. I think a matchmaking system could really help out on these things for at least like those in-game content modes. Crack and Null brings up a lot of aspects of the game that are currently faulty. There are some aspects of the things that obviously don't depend on the game's gated blocks, but are annoying. Meaning when he talks about specialization rate failure, that is basically your ability to go inside your hero and kit it out so that way it plays a little bit different than other characters. Why these things have success rates to them where you could fail these makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. I don't need a pity system inside here. Pity system doesn't mean shit to me. Just remove the success rate. Why should a pity system be inside here when literally if I go inside this mode raid to play it, I have to literally engage in this mode in order to play it? Meaning I literally have to step over here. I literally got to engage on these parts participations right here. And I literally have to play that mode. I have no other choice but to play that mode in order to get these rewards. And if I want to increase the rate at which I'm getting these rewards, I have to play crystals to get them. Why should I be paying crystals for anything and still having a failure rate that could be associated? That should not be. It should not be, but it is. The thing that's going to make the game the most worrisome for a lot of players are the shadow nerfs that are kind of happening in background of the system. The drop rates, the shadow nerfs. The shadow nerfs are probably one of the worst things. Nobody wants to feel like you've engaged in building a character over an extended period of times, and then all of a sudden they come about and they say, hey, you know what, Doctor Strange is too powerful for the meta, so we're going to take down his ultimate skill and we're going to take down his Crimson Bands of Sidorak, and now he's no longer power, so he just dropped 10 levels in terms of his usability in certain modes. Nobody wants to do that, because I just spent a whole lot of money, or I just spent a whole lot of time and invested in that character if you just nerf him. It doesn't feel good, you know what I mean? Especially when you've done it in less than a month of the game being soft launch. So we have to consider those things. I think that Crack and Null brings up a lot of good points about some of the gatekeeping that happens in the game. And I don't mean gatekeeping like, you know, hey, we're protecting Marvel franchise. I mean like the gate blocks, the time gates that happen inside the game. Like the sin particles represent a significant time gate inside the game, especially when the drop rates are as low as they are. So if I went inside my inventory, for instance, and I looked at these items right here, they're basically a gateway. They're a time gate for me to basically access some of the regional gear, because I have to go literally inside the workshop, which is arguably one of the worst things in the game, right? Like if I go over here to the workshop and I'm looking at trying to like increase my players' usability by getting those regional gear sets, well, I come over here and I decide that, hey, you know what, I'm gonna craft 20 something boxes. But I craft 20 boxes like I did in one of the videos for you guys. I craft 20 boxes and I get nothing. I mean, not one piece of regional gear, not even a duplicate piece of regional gear. That sucks. It sucks, especially when these items can only be got in one place. Like literally, for you to get those items, you literally have to come over here to special operations, and you're gonna get like 8 to 12 of them a day. Yep, 8 to 12 of them a day. That's about your most guaranteed in terms of drop rates. So I think that, you know, Kraken has a thing in here, a point to most of the stuff that he says, and it has some validation about whether the game will be playable at launch. But I definitely feel like there's going to be a different perspective, and you have to take that into consideration. Your perspective as being a free-to-play player is going to differentiate from his perspective being a whale. A whale is obviously going to get bored of the content really quickly because he's rushed through to the end game. You've got your character at 1 million, and you're now trying to play blitz mode, you're trying to play raid, you're trying to play all these things. They're easy to you. It's like you became a god amongst ants. But you did that to yourself. You paid to be at that place. Is that on now Netmarble's responsibility as a development team to cater to you, to give you something so that way you just pay your way through again? You see what I'm saying? So his perspective is going to be skewed from yours as a free-to-play player, because you're going to be looking at it like, man, fuck, Blitz is hard to complete. I can't complete Blitz because, you know what, my character's not high enough. And the same thing's going to happen with raids. You're going to be like, hey, look, the raid says that it's supposed to, you know, the recommended power is 678,000. I can guarantee you, when you finish the game with your first run through, your first character, to get them all the way to rank 100, and you do that, you're probably only going to be at about 300,000 power. Probably only about 300,000 power. That's it. That's literally it. There's no way, other than being carried, are you going to be able to do ultimate raid. You're probably going to struggle at doing extreme raid. That's legitimately what's going to happen. But obviously, if I'm at 100, a million power level, like some of the whales are in the game, this is going to seem like content that's just, it's easy. I've paid to be a god, so now I'm dealing with god level consequences for my own actions. So I think that and to Kraken's credit, he did point out that most of this stuff is extremely unfriendly to the free-to-play player more than it is to the whale. So he at least understands his place within being a whale versus being a free-to-play player. And I will say that the game is kind of unfriendly to the free-to-play player in its current incarnation, because there gotta be things that makes a player not feel like they're just jumping in to just get beat down. And right now, even when you get to the first character that you play through, you get to the Dimension Duels, you get to the Mega War Zone, you get to the Dark Zone, and you feel like you're getting beat down by the top level players, and it feels hard to catch up to them. But if you enjoy the game outside of that, which I think that you will, I think most players will jump in and they'll have fun doing most wanted missions. They'll have fun doing the blitz. They'll have fun doing the special operations. They'll have fun doing the battle challenges. I think that you will legitimately enjoy the game in just terms of collecting items. I really do believe Netmarble needs to look at his drop rates. I literally do believe that they need to look at their gear and the way that they want gear to affect players. And I definitely think that they need to look at the matchmaking system inside the game. And I think those things will make them fun. Is the game going to be unplayable at launch? No, it's not. It's not going to be unplayable at launch. The game will be playable. And you will have fun. And it's not going to be one of those games that fall into obscurity. You know why it's not? Is because if you look at games like Genshin Impact, you look at games like Lineage, there's no branding to those games. What do I mean by that? There's nothing that makes you feel bonded to those characters that you're playing with in there. And Lineage, an orc is an orc, a troll is a troll. You know, like, those characters are what they are. The elves are elves. You know, if I play another game like Genshin Impact, whatever new character they come out with, there's no bonding to it. You know, I don't have any life experience to that character. It's different than me sitting down playing Seven Deadly Sins or Naruto Ninja Storm or Marvel Future Fight or, you know, Marvel Strike Force, where I feel bonded to these characters. I'm in anticipation to see Thor coming. I'm in anticipation to see Loki coming. Those games aren't there where there's just gonna be shelved items for you to say, hey, you know what? I'm done with this. I don't want to see where I come back. If anything, take a look at Marvel's Avengers. Marvel's Avengers has had a tumultuous first year. By any standards, has had a tumultuous first year for what the expectations of that game would be. But here we are heading into mid-August, and the game is having a revitalization in player base. The game is having a uptick in the number of stream players, who went from like 500 concurrent players to almost like 10,000 in one weekend, because everybody's looking at Black Panther's about to be released. And there's going to be the possibility that they can fix things and adjust course. and it's a free expansion, so players are willing to jump back in because they feel bonded to that universe. They feel bonded to those characters. There's a longevity there, and it's only going to deepen with more Marvel cinematic movies get released. So keep that in mind when you look at this game, right? Is that there is something here for you. I feel like there's a lot to be had inside this game. I'm a little pissed off right now with this god dang freaking maintenance that they have. I hate the fact that we literally jumped into this maintenance window, and here this is going to be a problem, right? Because here we are midday, the servers are on the East Coast, we've got 2 hours before we can go. I got to get my ass to the gym, and literally I have no way that I'm going to be able to complete any of my other missions inside here in that 2-hour window. So I'm fucked. I'm gonna lose out on a day of raid because I know that I think this maintenance is supposed to be for like 4 hours or something like that. But take it or leave it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Forgive me if I came across completely negative. Trust me, you will love the game. If you've played Marvel Future Fight, there's going to be something in it for you. You will have fun with this game. You will have fun with this game. How much fun is going to be largely dependent on your attitude versus what the game is just going to offer. There are a lot of fun modes in here for just PvE. There's going to be some heartache and discontent with some of the end game modes, especially with whales and engaging whales inside the game, but trust me, there's something here for you to have inside the game to be enjoyable about. And I wouldn't say that Kraken's wrong. It's something that Netmarble definitely needs to take a look at. He brings up some very, very valid points and a pretty good perspective on what he's talking about. So, and like I said, he even says that he waited till he got through to the end of the game to have his perspective on it. So take to heart some of the things he said, because I can't say anything that he said is wrong at all. I think he's right, and probably, you know, 85% of what he said, and there's probably the other 15% is only skewed by his perspective as a pay-to-play player or a whale. So take that into consideration, but play the game through. When the game gets launched, play it through. As we go down the rest of the time, the ticker to get to the 25th, I'm going to release some more videos about the characters and stuff like that. Not necessarily min-max power levels and so forth, but maybe some history of characters, show you power skills and things like that. I hope you come back, stick around. Remember, like and subscribe. Until next time, guys. Peace.